On this episode of the Star Trek Universe podcast, we are talking about Star Trek Discovery, episode 304, Forget Me Not. Right after these messages from someone we don't control.
Welcome to the Star Trek Universe podcast, the podcast where two lifelong friends do what they've been doing since they were 5 years old, talk about Star Trek, but you just get to listen in. My name's Matthew Carroll.
I'm David C. Robertson.
How you doing, bud?
Not great.
Oh, yeah? Something you want to talk about here on the cast, or should this be an... I don't know. What's up?
Oh, no, I don't know. Last couple of weeks, I cannot sleep very well. No. And having a lot of anxiety, like panic attacks and stuff. I'm not really sure what's going on, so I'm going to probably go to the doctor soon.
Yeah, you definitely should. Are you extra anxious about things? I mean, it's an anxious time for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fascism and such.
Right. I will admit, I've been checking the election results like a fiend.
Yeah,
I was doing it before that too. So
right,
I was like,
but it's at a fever. Right now, it's at a fever pitch. Maybe try to maybe take a tip from Saru here and try to let yourself have a night off. Watch a good movie. Watch a Chaplin movie or whatever.
You mean Buster Keaton? No.
Some silent asshole. I don't know.
Some silent asshole. No, I stress out about not doing stuff. I'm antsy. Yeah, stress out about doing stuff. It's just, I don't know what's going on.
I hear you. But I do, I will say, I don't know, I've, in my, and a joke about the Saru thing, but I think it's true. I have learned the value the last few years of actually intentionally taking a day off. I've mostly do it when Alyssa really wants to, I'm really bad at doing it for myself, but sometimes Alyssa's like, can we not do any work stuff today? Can we just have a day to, do us or whatever? And when I do that, I always the next day, I'm like, oh, wow. That's why you're supposed to rest. Just have a day. Just have a day where you're not whatever. You're not working. You're not slaving away at whatever you do. Anyway. Yeah. So I encourage you to try to get some R&R, man. Listen to the sphere data.
Nah, man. I don't know. The big problem is I stress out a lot when I don't get ththings done.
Yeah. No, I get that.
So me just not doing anything, I feel like a pile of shit. And then
that's you're falling into the exact same thing that I have, and it's the same trap I do, and it's why I work every day. But I just tell you from my experience, getting past that and being okay. And also, let me say this.
Well, that's the trick, is getting past it. Every time,
I hear you, but every time...
That's the hard part.
Let me help you. Every time I do that and actually take a break for a full day and just really let myself rest, I am way more productive in the coming days. I don't know. That's that. I've learned that. I still don't do a good job of it, but whenever I do it and whenever I intentionally take a little time off, I come back and I'm way stronger and more effective, because you don't realize how tired you are until you aren't tired anymore. Maybe get a little, Anyway, let's talk about Star Trek.
Yeah, man.
Let's do this thing we do, this podcast here.
Yeah.
I want you to take a break, but not right now. We got things to do, man.
Right. Let me just. Oh, God, I forgot. Jason, I was telling Jason I was stressed out. He said he was going to leave some liquor in my mailbox. I haven't checked that yet. Because he did. He totally sent me a message around 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock tonight. He was like, check your mailbox. And I was like, okay.
That is, we are two different types of friends.
Yeah, you guys are. Yeah.
I mean, if you need liquor, I got you covered. But
I mean, I didn't ask for it. I believe I said, I'm not going to turn it down.
It's just really, it's very funny. Okay, let's talk Star Trek. How about it?
Sure.
We got to see the planet of Trill again.
We did, and it was weird.
Why so weird?
I don't remember it well enough. Like, dude,
I don't remember it that well either.
I remember the caves. I don't remember anyone getting like horror movie pulled underneath the water.
Well, in that defense, the guy said he'd never seen anything like that before.
That's true. That was the lantern hung.
Yeah, for sure. Lantern was
fine with it.
And she's a human. She's a different species. They haven't had anything like this. So,
right.
It's a different thing. And it's been 1,000 years since we've last seen the place.
Right. You know, it's funny. Like, I've already seen a few reactions online where it was like people saying like, oh, that, you know, she and Michael are in the same place somehow connected to the thing. And it's just all bullshit. And I'm like, you know what? That's my favorite type. First of all, let's just get past this idea that Star Trek isn't just bullshit, because there's so much fun. Like the original series and even Next Generation, the first like 3 or 4 years, man, there was so much like fun sci-fi bullshit that was just, it was just zany and imaginative, and I'm okay with that. And that's one of the things that turned me on to Doctor Who when you and I started watching it back in the day.
Yeah.
And there was like, God, this is, I remember us sitting there going like, remember how when Star Trek used to be like this and it wasn't like stuffy and all the time just like earth tones sitting on a ship?
Yeah, I definitely remember you saying that. My Star Trek has always been the Earth tone sitting at a conference table, and I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. But it's, you know, there's got to be a mix.
Yeah, I fully submit that like Star Trek is fantasy.
Yeah,
it is hard sci-fi in the sense that everything is explainable through science, and everything you meet is an alien, not some like magical being. But the way some of these things interact with humanity and the way some of the experiences we see are indecipherable from like magic or elves or whatever. These are telepathic. I mean, the Vulcans are the first and best example of this.
Yeah, I mean, like we had Spock communicating, like controlling people. Spock controlled people with his mind through solid rock. Like,
yeah,
y'all. Come on.
This is well-trod territory for Star Trek.
I'm just saying, Star Trek fans need to get off their high horse and stop talking about how like it's got to be like absolute science that we know today, because you know what, it's not like every species doesn't have to be humanoid with some bumps.
Yeah,
like it can all be mental. Like there are so many different versions of reality theoretically. I feel like you should play with all of that, so I'm good with everything that happened here on a conceptual basis at the very least.
Yeah, same here. And I'm not going back and comparing notes on what the caves looked like versus what this looked like and how they did all that. Whatever, I don't care. It looked similar enough. It's 1,000 years later. Whatever.
Yeah,
I'm fine with it.
I thought it looked pretty exact. The inside of the caves.
Yeah, I thought so too. Anyway, yeah. So this episode's really fun, and I like I really like Adira a lot. Like just as a character, I like her a lot. I found her arc in this episode to be really cool, and like when she named all the characters that she is, like when she named her names, I cried. Like, oh wow, yeah, it got me, man. It was nice.
That's cool, man. I'm glad you got you.
Her finding herself, you know, like when she said, "And I am Adira Tall," I was like, oh yes, you are. I found the little love story a little annoying, but
why?
I don't know. They were, because any on-screen love story to me, if it feels unearned, feels fake, because it is. Like, to me, a good love story on screen is when is one where you see the characters interact over the course of many seasons or hours or whatever, and you get to know that, like, why they connect well, right? And so when you're just thrown into a story, like, it's not this story's fault. It's no one's fault. It's just like two lovebirds sitting and making. It's really hard to write that stuff and make it not really schmaltzy. And I think they did not supersede that here. Like, it feels super schmaltzy and super, like, I don't know, just like, do lovers talk this way? I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But you know, I may have been just too distracted. This gray character, I could not understand about a third to a half, depending on which scene, of what they were saying. It was like their voice was modulated in such a way. Oh. And I don't know if this is like post-production or if this is just the person's voice.
That's really interesting. I did not blame it on the character, but now that you say that, like, I didn't think about it at all, but I had to rewind it about 3 times to go back and read the subtitles. And I didn't even think about it being that character, but it was that character every time. Wow. Yeah, good call.
There was something about his voice that was just not.
I keep the subtitles on, and so normally like if I don't hear something, I glance up and read it if I'm not already reading it. But like, there were a couple times where I was looking down at my phone or something, and he said something, and I had to rewind it. Interesting. I don't know what's up with that. What's up with that? What's up with that? Ooh-wee. It's one of the best SNL skits in the last 10 years. Just great. It's just great.
I don't know that it's one of the best, but it does stick in your head a lot. Like, I mean, it's really just that one bit over and over again, but God, is it funny?
Well, it's that one bit, but it's also the building on that bit where it starts with him just like the fact that it's birthing out of him every time. Like, he just can't control himself. He's shaking a little bit. He's like, they're talking and he's like trying to hold himself in. And then he finally just jumps up and starts. And then,
Keenan's so funny, man.
He's so funny. And Jason Sudeikis as doing the Running Man in like a
in the background.
Is one of my favorite things. They even did one recently, when they did, they were doing the quarantine episodes, like SNL from home. Mm-hmm. And they did one where they went like crazy all out with the special effects and stuff. And they just had like this psychedelic, trippy, like full on what's up with that thing. I don't know. It's great, man. I loved it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's good. It's fun.
So that's the main thrust of this episode, I would say. There's an A plot and a B plot here. The A plot being they go to Trill. They need to find Senetal's information about, and they do. They get the coordinates, and they get more than that. I'm super excited about Tal as a character and knowing. I don't know. That was such a great well of stories for Jadzia.
Yeah,
to like live these, like, what lives has Tal lived, and what kind of things will we learn about this universe as she like discovers herself. That
is an interesting bit of storytelling to dive into, for sure.
It's like Red Kryptonite. No, not Red Kryptonite. What is it? I guess it's just Kryptonite. In Smallville, right? Like, that's always my example of a thing you put in the story that just allows you to have lots of stories later. Like, you can be creative with this thing that, and in Smallville, for the uninitiated, in Smallville, they try to explain away the reason young Superman can have so many adventures in his small Kansas town is when he crash landed, a bunch of kryptonite crash landed, and it caused a bunch of metahumans, basically. And so he's Scooby-Dooing it around fighting different whatever small town alien influenced metahumans.
It's really funny that you bring up Smallville, because when we were talking about romantic people not are you needing to see build up for romantic couplings to make sense to you on screen,
yeah,
like I almost said, oh, so what, the first episode of Smallville, Martha and Jonathan Kent didn't seem like they would have been married for 25 years? I totally, I swear to God, I was really so funny. Close to saying it.
That's really funny. What was it last week that we called out something that Jason had just told you about, and then I brought up the same thing? I don't
know.
Anyway, I feel like we're eating our own tail right now.
It's okay. Hey, man, you know what? That's who we are. There's no reason to be afraid of that, man.
It is who we are.
It is who we are.
So anyway, it's like that with the kryptonite in Smallville, where oh well, now we have an endless source of stories, and I feel like that with the symbiont. It's symbiont, but I don't know how to say it. They always say it like symbiont. I don't know. Anyway, I love it. I think it's super exciting, and yeah, I felt very inspired by this character, and she's trying to get past a trauma. I guess everyone in this episode is trying to get past a trauma, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And, I started to think, I was doing that annoying thing where, it's not really annoying to me, but it winds up making me enjoy the show less. So in that way, it's kind of annoying. But I was doing that thing where I was because of the actor or actress's age, I thought it would be more interesting if maybe, her stepmother or stepfather or something had been the Trill that had the symbiont, and she had lost her parents on that ship. And maybe they could have played her a little younger, so that because I like the idea of something extremely old residing within someone very young. And informing their decisions. I
like that too. I think we'll still get that. Yeah. We still have 5 other hosts that they can draw stories from, and Cindetal was pretty old at least. Yeah. And I think we will definitely get those stories, and we will get that sense from her. I felt like she changed. She started being, and it was the same thing. Actually, it reminded me a lot of what Jadzia had said about herself. She said she was always sort of unsure of herself, and then once she got the symbiont, she focused and felt more sure of herself and felt like she was more powerful to some degree. She gained confidence, and I felt that in this character. Once she connected with all her previous lives, you could tell her she just locked into who she was. She was not worried about one of the things she says before she gets off the ship. She says, "Just make sure I don't disappoint anyone."
Yeah,
which is. That's tragic because it's sweet, but it's not always the best guiding star, Sometimes you have to make a decision, and sometimes your decisions are going to disappoint someone, but you have to make the right one for you and for others, And in this episode, she has to make a decision, and it's after she's been joined. I say joined. She was already joined, but you know what I mean. After she connects with her previous lives, they ask her whether she can stay, and she wants to stay and be that lady's mentee. Yeah, and she says, "No, I think I'm supposed to be on Discovery." I think
the word is protege.
I prefer mentee. It's it's mentor, mentee, and Mentos, and they're all 3 very important to me. Fresh goes better, man.
I prefer Futos. That's just me. Big me.
I liked it. Foo references. I tried to combine the word foo and references, but references.
Okay. Man, what a freaking great band. They've just been such a great band for so many years.
I know. They really have, the Foo Fighters. It's just freaking awesome. And I don't think they get the credit they deserve, honestly.
Well, but only because rock music isn't nearly as... Well, let's be honest. The butt rock guys killed rock for a while. Like the Creeds and the Puddle of Muds and all those assholes.
Yeah.
Hinder, all those guys really kind of...
I agree. It lost its way. It lost its heart. And, I mean, if we're being honest, rock always had this, strain that was very, a little too on the nose, as it were. And like a little too macho, and that's not what I like anyway. I like something with a little art to it, a little emotion to it. And I think there's great art like that. I think the grunge era has some wonderful stuff, particularly. But then, it got weird there in the 90s, late 90s.
It got aggressive, but not like in an angsty way. It just got kind of rapey, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, man, and I don't like it. Like that. It's like it becomes like a parody of itself when Nickelback starts a song with "I like your pants around your feet." Like oh gosh,
yeah.
This is I mean, there's a long history of rock and roll being misogynist, but like as culture moves forward. You sort of expect the music and the themes of the music to go with it. And that did not. That stuff stayed in the 70s and 80s, I guess. Anyway. But it was like a backlash from like emotional rock that was going on of the day. And it really is where like just kind of assholes go to listen to music. Nickelback, destination for assholes since 1995.
Until Hinder took it over, and that was weird.
I don't even know Hinder.
Oh God,
I'm sure I know some of the songs.
A whole period of time where they were like actively going into interviews with friggin' Rolling Stone and other major publications, like shitting on OK Go because that's not real rock. I'm like,
dude, OK Go
who cares?
Freaking best. OK Go is
OK Go was fantastic.
Yeah, they really are. And like not just their like silly videos. Their videos are great. Their videos are what put them on the map. But like their music is awesome.
Every album is solid.
Everyone so good. Okay,
anyway,
back to Star Trek.
Star Trek.
We're in a mood tonight, my friend. We're in a mood.
Hey man, whatever takes my mind off of grinding my teeth.
Indeed. Well, the other big storyline in this episode is the crew is anxious.
Yeah, that did wonders for me.
Yeah. Let Saru teach you a lesson.
No, man, it wasn't Saru. It was the Sphere AI.
He has a theory. It's the Sphere AI.
Oh, it is. It was even the same actress starting to come in.
Oh, do you mean from the future episode or whatever?
Yeah, man, from Calypso.
Calypso, that's the name of the short trek. Okay,
yeah.
See, I agree that's where that's going. That is the AI from the future. But is that the Sphere data?
Or, I mean, I guess we don't know that for sure, but we know that. We knew that last year.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think you're right. I think
Run
you're
the
right.
tapes. We had this theory.
I know, I agree. I think you're right, and I think that's true, but I also think we also have all this stuff about control could still be kicking around. So I feel like I need to go back and watch that last episode. What did they do with control? Like did they deactivate those nanites? Or
I don't know.
I just hope it's not control. I really don't want control back.
But for sure, this is the AI from Calypso. Like this is, I mean, she's showing them old movies, and they did. Yeah. It was Annabelle Wallace.
That's really neat.
They had like both Annabelle Wallace and Julianne Grossman like coming in, and it was fluctuating between those two voices. So,
do you think
definitely?
So, what do you think's going on with Detmer? Is she just feeling anxious like the rest of the crew? Was this the culmination of that storyline that she had a problem when she landed? Is this it? Is it just an actual human problem? Everybody's having all these theories about it being control or something with her implant.
I don't know. I think this is hard for me to say because as an audience member who knows too much about narrative, I have what I think they're going to do. But we saw how well that worked for me on Picard. Because, I think what I would do in writing it plays into what I think they would do, and that rarely works out. So, the way they are playing it, where, she's talking about Stamets' blood on the deck, and it might just be a PTSD thing, and that would be fine, if not a little anticlimactic. I think it would be, kind of a falling on a whimper, that storyline, but at the same time, I don't want her to be possessed by Control. I want Control to be over.
I don't either. And I actually find this resolution to that storyline to be far more fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the fact that all of us Star Trek fans were like, oh, what sci-fi problem is here? And then we're like, oh, right, human beings have problems.
Yeah, and I think I would rather it be some combination of human stress, but like also like something not Control, just something else. Like it's just something else screwing with her implant a little bit. Everybody else is on edge too. So I mean, them playing it up like she was the first to have this issue, it does feel like they were building up to a little something more.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like something else should happen. I just don't want it to be Control.
Right. I personally would be okay if they left it here. Like, honestly,
I'd be okay with it.
I kind of like it. I kind of like that. Like, we all were guessing what was wrong with her for weeks, and then it's like, oh, she just has like a serious issue. Like, she's just really mad because no one appreciates her.
Right.
Like, she's really mad because nobody appreciates her, and she's really stressed and anxiety ridden.
Yeah.
Like I kind of dig that. I liked Culber in this episode.
Oh yeah, he was great. You almost forget that he's not the chief medical officer. He's making all the reports to Saru. He's talking to everybody. What is the chief medical officer doing?
What is it?
No, he never. I don't think he ever was.
No, I don't know that he ever was, but maybe he is after they've gone through the 930 years. Maybe the chief medical officer is still behind or something.
No, I'm pretty sure the chief medical officer is the lady that's always there talking to him, giving him orders. In the sick bay.
Okay. I guess I don't remember.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
My guess is that, my headcanon then for this is that he has more of a specialty in psychology than the other doctors, because that's really what was going on in this episode. He's, taking all the reports and stuff because it's psychology related.
Right. Maybe. Or maybe he just has more experiences, like he was talking to Burnham.
Yeah.
Maybe he has more expertise in that area.
Yeah, I liked him a lot. He's just wise and fun to listen to, and just the actor really kind of killed it. I just thought it was really, really well done on everybody's part.
I do want to apologize. I have such a hard time remembering everybody's name on this show.
Getting there.
I'm talking about Tracy Pollard, Dr. Tracy Pollard. I looked it up.
Oh, okay.
Maybe she's not the chief medical officer. I don't know. I've just seen her a lot.
Okay.
Talking to Culber.
Gotcha. Yeah, I have no idea who does what.
I thought she was the chief medical officer.
But it could be that, like I don't know. It all works. Like there's no, even if he's not the chief, like even if he's like whatever, second in command or third, or if he's just an officer down there, it could just be that he was assigned to take everyone's vitals and go over the ship's, he's inventorying the ship's crew and seeing how they're doing or whatever. That's just his assignment this week or whatever.
Neither Memory Alpha page says if they're the chief medical officer, as far as I can tell. Okay.
Maybe they've never said.
They just got like a third chief medical officer that you just never see.
Yeah. Yeah. So what did you think of their dinner and everyone's breakdown at the dinner?
Felt familiar. Like Tilly was saying, that's a Tuesday night. That's a Tuesday night at her family's house. I'm like, hell yeah.
Mine was way more repressive than that.
I try to be self-aware, and I try to, recognize my my problems and my hang-ups and emotional baggage, and call it for what it is. Yeah.
As what is it? Who said that this episode? We have to stop and realize that we're not fine first before we can fix our problems.
I've had about 25 years of knowing I wasn't fine with it.
I think Culber says that maybe.
Probably. He is wise.
He is wise. He was very wise this episode. I felt like they were really building up his character. I've felt like he's been a side character to Stamets for the most part. This, I feel like, was one of the first times where we had him fully interacting with this crew and with this episode, having a big part of it, and Stamets was not like his way into the story, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I thought that was good for him. Good for his character's growth as like it's his own individual.
I like that guy.
Me too.
I like Wilson Cruz. He was on Party of Five.
Oh yeah,
playing basically the same wise gay character. Like he tells their little brother like, well, some people, you know how some people like Marvel and some people like DC, and he's like, I like both, and he's like, that's okay too.
That's good.
Yeah,
it's good. I you know, normally I would be a little. There's a certain. It's the magical black character or whatever, you know, from a thing.
Legend of Bagger Vance, basically.
Yeah, exactly, or whatever. The Shining, like there's always like the magical black character, and I feel like that trope has been a little adopted by LGBTQ characters in this particular era, and the reason is they people don't know how to write them with flaws sometimes.
Well, you're heavily criticized if you do.
Exactly. So like if you write them with flaws, then are you saying all gay people do that? And that's one thing I like in this show is that Culber is that sort of I don't know, Mary Sue type character of being like kind of, so far he's been very thoughtful and perfect and wise, and like you could say that about him, but they do have another gay character who is not wise at all. No,
Stamets is an asshole, dude.
Stamets is an absolute ass. He was so mean to Tilly.
Yeah. How could you be so mean to Tilly?
I couldn't be.
Some of the viewers are. Oh my God.
Oh yeah? Is she hated on?
Yes. She's annoying, you know, just people ragging on her weight, people ragging on everything.
Oh, screw them.
Yeah, dude. Facebook and Twitter are just like so infuriating.
Yeah. Screw them.
It's real bad. Instagram too, like people will chase actors and actresses mainly actresses off of Instagram. But
yeah. Speaking of flawed Stamets, you can't get Stamets' blood off the bulkhead, man. That scene was creepy.
That was creepy. That makes me think there's something else going on, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's just PTSD shit.
That's what makes me think this was the resolution, because like she went nuts, and it seemed like, oh my gosh, whatever we've been looking for, whatever we've been waiting on, it's happening. The switch is flipped. She's going nuts. And then it turned out it was just she was angry because no one had been treating her well. And I was like, oh, and no one appreciated the fact that she like flew them 1,000 years in the future and crash landed on a planet and like got them all there alive or whatever, as many as she could, or you know, the ones that are still alive at least.
Yeah, I very much like the idea, and whether it be from Lower Decks, the TNG episode, or Lower Decks the series, or from here, I like this notion of the crew who aren't like the leads of the show just kind of snapping and being like, you all think you're such hot shit, but you know what? We all did this.
Her talking to Stamets and being like, yeah, you just like to come in like a fucking superhero every once in a while and fly us across the galaxy, but I do the hard work. Like I take everyone's lives into my hands every day. Like she's stressed out, man.
Yeah, and that's fair.
Yeah, for sure.
That's fair. We haven't really talked about what happened on Trill.
Like the actual experience of the threads and everything, like the inner life, or you're talking about just like the Trill planet?
Like the Trill planet, like leading up to, you know, like Well, number one, the Trill Commission being like the Symbiote Commission being a bunch of dicks, which they were back in the 24th century.
Interesting you say that. It reminded me a little bit of it reminded me of like every society they visit on Star Trek. There's always like one person that wants to do the right thing, one person that wants to do the wrong thing, and then like the leader makes some decision that's like in between, and then the two sides fight over. Like, it was very similar to so many different stories we've seen in Trek.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I dug, gentle guns. That's what I'm calling them. The older
gentle guns. I don't know what you mean.
I almost called him a Bajoran. The gentle Trill, who is like, no, we must preserve the history. This is our one shot. And then, like, they dismiss Burnham and Adira, and then he, like, comes to help them out. But when he comes to help them out, you're just like, go back and look at that scene, dude. That dude is, like, jacked. Like,
oh, right.
Like, guns. Dude, his guns are just like, oh, man. Like, what have you been doing? You like looking like Jackman from the neck down.
Yeah, man.
Like, Bethany started calling him. She was like, she started calling him Jacked Silver Fox.
Yeah, no, if you'd said Silver Fox, I would have been right there with you.
Yeah. Dude, like, in the caves, she was like, shoot, Silver Fox can draw me some bathwater.
Silver Fox can explore my caves.
Oh, you went too far. But when they were in the communion and Adira's like running around scared of the tendrils or whatever, Bethany goes, she looks like Adira in the headlights.
Oh, it's good. Good job, Bethany.
Like, this is why. This is the reason for the marriage.
Yep. That joke was worth all the years he put in.
When you say it, it sounds so bad, but I had a great time putting in those years.
Yeah, no, I joke, but like that's the shit, man. That's the kind of shit.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta love.
Like, pretty much she just kept saying shit and I just kept laughing and writing it down. She's like, and I'm like, nah, it's going in. We're going to talk about this on the show.
As I liked in the Trill stuff, I really liked her story and getting to find out her story. Like I said, the romance, I don't know, it was just hard to resonate. But like when Gray is laying dying on the ground and she says, I know I'm not Trill, but I'll keep them safe. And they just had the conversation about trusting, and like that's the most important thing for the Trill, to be able to trust you and choose you. And then it comes back a little later, and it says, they say Tal chooses to accept you, and it's just really nice, man.
So we're left with a couple of things. One, they did not show what hit the ship, and unless I just don't remember, they didn't say what it was either. You just saw, it just looked like some sort of a dark mass coming at the ship through the window that wound up killing Gray.
Oh, yeah. I didn't see anything. I did see like a dark mass. Okay.
Yeah, it was like the smoke monster from Lost or something.
Yeah. I'm assuming that might be like an interpretation from her memory or something, but yeah, maybe.
Maybe. I feel like that is a mystery they're setting up. Like, that is a question they're giving to us to be like, what the hell was that? And is it coming back? Like, are we going to come back into that and figure it out at some point? And of course, they leave us with the whole like space cases situation where now Gray is like showing up and talking to her. I don't know if you know Space Cases. It's an old Peter David show.
I don't, but I gotta get it.
It's from Nickelodeon.
Weird.
Peter David, great comic book writer, great Star Trek writer for anyone who knows a lot of the novels and stuff. But there was a character named Catalina who was played by Jewel Staite of Firefly, and it was a bunch of kids who were on a ship that like took off, and they were like lost in space essentially with a couple of their commanding officers. They were all like cadets or whatever. And she had an imaginary friend named Susie. And then in season 2, we find out that Susie was just in another dimension and they swapped. So she could talk to Catalina, but no one else could. And she could see her too.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of.
This is interesting. This is not a Trill experience we've seen before.
No.
And I don't, it's also, we've never seen a human permanently joined, and we've never seen someone who's in a relationship, like I don't know, especially a romantic relationship with someone that they then take the Trill of. It's a lot of X factors here. So, but the thing that has me interested is it reminds me a lot of what they did with mirror Stamets in season 1, and that makes me think that this is not really Gray. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It just seems like
see that.
Seems like this could be some sort of false version of Gray that it's going to get us in trouble later.
Maybe.
Adira, I feel like they've written this very interesting character. She may be a hat on a hat on a hat, though. She's got like a lot of stuff going on. She's like this wellspring of stories from the history of this universe, this version of the Star Trek universe, this 1,000 years in the future. She's a human Trill or human symbiont joined person who has all these Trill lives inside of her, and now she has like a ghost boyfriend that is going to be around. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot of things for the character who's only been on the show for 2 episodes.
Yep.
It's like more things than anyone else has.
Yeah, she's the new target for the anti-discovery people. Mary Sue.
Right. I would not call her a Mary Sue yet.
No, not yet. I mean, now that she's got all these hundreds of years of memories, she is like, she can be perfect at everything.
She probably knows things, and she's probably gonna be wise in some ways, but like, yeah, I don't know. I hope they still write her as a flawed character.
I haven't seen any of these people as a Mary Sue for real.
Right. Mary Sue's a pejorative, but like,
yes, and it's overused.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Misused commonly.
Yeah. The one thing I did get really bothered by with the Trill, and I know we talked a little bit off cast, so you don't really see it this way, but there's an episode of DS9.
Yeah, Equilibrium,
where you find out that the Trill Commission has been lying to the people, and it turns out that they've been saying that like 1 in 1,000 can be joined. Are like possible to be joined to the Trill. I'm sorry, I keep calling them Trill. They're symbiont because I just don't like saying symbiont because I don't know how to say it. I keep saying it differently.
The squid. Just say the squid.
Okay, sure. The squid. They say the commission tells them that like 1 in 1,000 of them can be joined to a squid, and it's this precious thing in their society that everyone treats as this precious thing, and they whatever. And it turns out in this DS9 episode Equilibrium that that's a lie, and that 50% of all Trill can be joined. In this episode, it feels like they did not rewatch that episode. Like when they talk about it, and like they say, all the people, a lot of our numbers died during the burn, and especially the ones that could be joined. And it just seems like that's like kind of going back on that little piece of canon that we learned.
Yeah, I also I don't remember Equilibrium well enough to did they out that? Was it like did they tell the entire universe or all of Trill or whatever that like, by the way, your government's lying to you? I don't remember, honestly. I don't remember but either way, this is the commission. Like, yeah, but it's 1,000 years in the future. Like, yeah, but they're still the ones. This is a lie they were maintaining constantly because they were having to fake results and shit like that. They were having to be like, "Oh, sorry, you can't do it." Like, it was a whole thing, and so that's a little disappointing. But if they said that, if they were like, especially the ones who could be joined, I'm just like, are they just maintaining that? Like, do they know because it's been 1,000 years? Had they just bought into the belief? Right. I don't buy that because I would think the commission would still have to know, and then the commission wouldn't let their
they're worried their culture's dying because the symbionts don't have anyone to connect to. They're losing the memories of their culture, and that's like they're allowing that to happen just because they maintain a secret. Like I don't think so. I think the writers of this just didn't remember that was the case. Like it seems like a bit of a canon issue to me, but I can work my head around it. It's fine. I can head canon it, but it definitely seems like the way they talked about the ones who could connect to the ones who could be joined made it sound like it was a rare thing, and it's not apparently.
Yeah,
because if they're saying 1 in 1,000 and it's actually 50%, then like there should be 48% of people or whatever, like 49 point whatever that were still that were not joined and out gallivanting around the universe that could still be joined, you know?
Yeah. So apparently, Cisco he threatens to expose the cover up unless they do what he wants, unless they save Jadzia. So.
That's right. It's a thing where they have the secret, but the secret it has good intentions. So he allows it to stand, I guess, because the intentions are that they won't. If everyone knew they could be joined, they would start treating it as a prize or whatever. And it still seems like they do, but I guess with some control from the council. And not just like everyone, insisted, like people aren't stealing symbionts and joining with them.
Right. And, I still think that there's some precedent. You tell a lie long enough, you wind up believing 1,000 years in the future. The commission may actually just believe it now. Or after the burn, maybe a huge chunk of that population was gone. We have no idea how many Trills are actually left for real that they know about. Or if they could if they even know. Maybe,
it just depends on how they were faking these results or whatever. Did some Trill make a machine that would just beep every one in 1,000 people or something? And no one's figured that out in 1,000 years. I don't know. It's just no big deal. It's fine. Water off a cannon freak's back, but like, I can.
I mean,
slightly annoying.
I'm not judging you, man. I'm, me. I'm there with you.
I do. I'm just throwing it out there. That I think it's an issue. I really liked when Gray disappeared inside of Adira's mind. He became Thread. That was just a cool effect. And it basically integrating into her, symbiont memory. And I just thought that was a really cool effect and really neat.
Yeah.
Do we know how old symbionts get? Is that on Memory Alpha?
Oh, I'm sure.
550 years.
Yeah, it says that it could easily live beyond 550 years. And I think Jadzia's was over 600 years old, I want to say. If I remember correctly.
Dax was born in 2018. She was 357 years old at the end of DS9.
Okay.
That's funny that she was born in 2018. That's really cute.
Yeah, that's funny.
It's cute that we just passed that. Like I wish I knew her birthday. I would celebrate Jadzia's second birthday. All right, do like a whole Elijah thing where we like set a table for Jadzia, set a place for Jadzia at her birthday party.
Yeah, that would be weird.
Sorry, being a little weird over here. It's late. It
is.
I loved the line, "Everything I've done would not have been possible without you, and I failed to let you know that." And then Tilly responds, "I always knew it."
Yeah.
I love the weird mixture that Tilly is of like super seems to have self-esteem problems, but also not at all. You know what I mean? Like she has these moments where she's like, "Oh no, I know how valuable and awesome I am. Like I'm a little worried I'm not gonna be able to accomplish the things I want to accomplish, but I know my value." You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so here's the weird my biggest hang up for the episode.
All right.
I do not believe, and maybe when you become evolved or you just need that much stress relief, you react differently. I don't think all those people in the future would laugh at a Buster Keaton movie that hard.
Oh yeah, I do want to talk about that actually. I have Power of Comedy written in my my notes here. I agree with you that comedy will evolve, and a Buster Keaton comedy is like I think they're still funny today if you're in the right mind space for them. But recently, with all the election stuff going on, I've been really stressed out, and I sat down to watch a freaking Colin Quinn stand-up special. And man, I have not felt a weight lift off my chest like that in a long time. Like I was so stressed out about all this stuff. And the thing that actually made that one particularly good is he went directly at the politics stuff. Like he went directly at it and really like deconstructed it in a way that was really pretty wonderful, honestly.
Oh yeah, he's great,
dude. Yeah, he's got his new Netflix special. I highly recommend it.
I'll get to it.
It's I don't even know what it's called, but it's like he's very much just like talking about the red state blue state thing. And
it's on my list. Yeah,
in the middle of this political season, like it just the way he deconstructed it made me really really happy. I laughed a lot, and it like it was such a catharsis with it that when I when it happened, when I was watching this episode, it's actually that I thought so. It's called Red State Blue State, Colin Quinn, Red State Blue State. When they showed that on this episode and all these people laughing, I was like, yeah, that like I hear you that a Buster Keaton movie might not be the thing that would do it, but I can absolutely see. I connected with the idea that comedy can make you release that tension.
Right. Now I can headcanon in a way that it was just like, this was a surprise. This was not like some emergency because he just told everyone to report to the hangar bay. I can get down with the fact that like that was a surprise. That was a huge relief in of itself, but like laughter is infectious. So if like 5 people are laughing at the Buster Keaton movie, other people are going to start laughing at it.
Right.
I can get behind that notion.
And also, you might be laughing at different things than like the people in the 20s were laughing at or whatever. You know, you might be laughing at the production. It's like we watch whatever old movies now and we laugh at them, but it's like a different kind of laughter, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's a little meaner.
I mean, I kind of don't do that very much. I'm kind of like, it was the old days.
It
like,
depends
that's what
on
they had.
Depends on the kind of thing.
Yeah.
Depends on the thing. Like, there are very bad movies that are funny because they're bad. I mean, it's a whole Mystery Science Theater thing. But I agree. It's a little weird, but I'm it's fine. I think the idea is that they're just watching something that's universally funny, and it was recommended by the computer.
Yeah.
That is apparently protecting them? ?
Yeah, I mean, I would assume. I
don't know. I'm not so sure. I'm interested to see what happens and where that goes. Like who is this computer? Is it the Sphere? Was like the Sphere data? Is it like a consciousness?
I think it would have to be, right?
They know that it tried, like it downloaded itself there to protect itself and then protect its work that it had been doing. So I'm assuming it's conscious.
Yeah, and you're out in the middle of space for that long, you're lonely, man.
Yeah. It's just interesting because when we watched Calypso, we had this idea, I think, that like it had been there, whatever this consciousness had developed by being there for 1,000 years. But now we know they jumped 930, and now we know they've only been in this time for what we don't know, but weeks probably, and like it's already, that consciousness is already there. Like this is not a development over time. This is a thing that's just there.
Yeah, which, if it was this, I can't remember how long they said the Sphere was around for.
A long time. I remember it was
it was
a long time.
So if all it needed was the interface, and like to start like it needed the interface, and then to just be like, oh, this is what these people are about. Gotcha. I can communicate with these people, and this is, a way for me to do it. Like, there's something kind of beautiful about that. I like that, and I really hope that there's nothing untoward about the sphere becoming the AI of the ship. Like, I dig that in a lot of ways. And,
I do too. Have you seen Solo, the Star Wars movie?
No.
Do you care about spoilers for Solo?
No, I've seen A New Hope.
Well, I thought this was actually pretty. This is one of my favorite parts of Solo. I actually thought Solo was great. People don't like it, but I think Star Wars fans don't like it. I think if you don't care that much, if you don't have this super protection of Han Solo and who you think he should be and what a Han Solo movie should be, it's a pretty good little movie.
I liked Force Awakens. I haven't seen the third one, but I think Last Jedi was the best one out of all of them. So
yeah, I think Last Jedi's. I think Rogue One is probably the best Star Wars movie in my opinion. I basically feel the opposite of what everyone else feels. I think it's the best. I think Rogue One's the best, and probably Last Jedi's second best.
All you Star Wars fans out there, you can just go ahead and
you can hand us
unsubscribe from our show because
we're the Star Trek Universe podcast. There's a reason we're not big Star Wars fans.
We're Star Trek fans who like Discovery and Picard, and we only like the new Star Wars movies.
Yep. So. In that movie, spoiler alert for the people listening on the internet. If you haven't seen Solo, I'm going to spoil it, but we're pretty much done talking about this episode, I think. So, if you want to skip ahead 2 minutes or whatever, or 30 seconds, I don't know. So at the end, in the movie, we always knew from I think Empire Strikes Back that Han got the Millennium Falcon from Lando.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, in the movie, Lando has some sort of romantic relationship with a droid.
Okay.
And that droid is sentient, basically. Like, it's one of the only, like all of them are, I guess, that we really meet and get to know.
Yeah.
But she's kind of great. Like, she's one of the better parts of the movie. She's like, she goes to a planet and she's supposed to be doing a mission. But there's a bunch of enslaved droids there, and she decides to lead a slave rebellion instead of doing the mission that they're there for, and it causes utter chaos, and it's pretty great.
That sounds fun.
It's really fun. But anyway, in doing this, it's actually really tragic because Lando loves this robot, because Lando's an omnisexual,
right? And
the robot dies. And it dies in his arms, and he carries it onto the ship, and he's like, no. And he's like, it's really a sad moment, really, really sad moment. And then, to try to save her in some form, he backs her up into the systems of the Millennium Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
So it adds this interesting mystique to the Millennium Falcon, because now it has the consciousness of this droid that protected Lando and loved Lando, and then Han Solo is a jackass and wins his ship from him, and it makes that whole thing a lot darker. But
yeah,
but it's it adds to the mystique of the Millennium Falcon, in my opinion, because that old ship has been through so much, and now we know there's this droid consciousness kicking around inside of it.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And this reminded me a lot of that, of course. That's why I bring it up.
That's interesting. Yeah. That would have been really, really cool to be able to see play out in some way that wasn't just a one and done.
What do you mean? You mean me telling you it, or you mean that would have been...
No, I mean, if, it wasn't a prequel, or if there was any notion that had been a thing in Star Wars, and then we get that tragic backstory, that would have been awesome.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think see that's what I like that's what I like about it is I feel like you do kind of get that because you know that Han loves the ship. You know the ship's always been there. It's like it really is a part of the movie. He treats it like a family member, basically. You know, like he treats it. It's his baby, and then in Solo you find out that there is a consciousness inside of it, and I think that's a really cool little thing. It again though, it does make it really dark that the guy who loves it then gets it like won from him in like a poker game. And like Han keeps it from him for years, and so in that later movie when Han's like, "Can I want my ship back?" It's like his lover.
Yeah,
it's really weird and kind of twisted.
Yeah. What did it remind me of? I was just thinking. It reminded me of Almost Heroes. When you were talking about him bringing the droid back on the ship, it reminded me of Almost Heroes.
Oh yes,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, exactly. I do. It's your favorite line from that movie.
I have so many favorite lines from that movie, but it's like. Or they go to Snake's Bend, and this like I can't remember his name. This Pratt, that was his name. Pratt, and all the men go into this what they think is a whorehouse, and they are introduced to several straw women.
Yes,
and they're all perplexed except for Pratt, who's like being very cordial to the fake woman made of straw, and then the whorehouse burns down, and he comes running out with the burning woman made of straw, and says, "She told me I could smoke. I believed her." And then subsequently, he's like nursing her on the ship, and Matthew Perry's like, "You do realize she's made of straw, don't you?" And he's like, "Yes, sir. I figured that's why she burned so easy."
So stupid, but very good. Very good.
It's such a funny movie. It's so stupid, but it's so funny. That's my Buster Keaton shit. Like, I have recommended that movie to teenagers that I know, and then they watched it and they were like, "What the hell was that?"
Yeah, that does not hold up. I think I would enjoy it now. There's definitely some good lines, but like, I don't think it fits with what the kids like these days. What are the kids like these days? I feel like these days with like, what comedy is popular among teenagers now?
Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Which I can get behind. I don't have any problems.
No, I love Rick and Morty. But like, do they get it? Or are they just like in the fart jokes, Like, I wonder.
Oh, I don't know.
It's kind of like South Park. Honestly, it's also like Buffy. There's a lot of things that like I watched for years from afar, people liking them, and the kinds of people I knew that liked those things were like assholes. Like not with Buffy. With Buffy, it was that they only cared about the romance. And then later I found out, these are great stories. The romance is not the point.
Right.
But like all these teenage girls only liked it because Angel was attractive and whatever. Angel and Buffy had this forever romance, which I liked too, but it wasn't, I don't know. Sure. It just seemed like from the outside it looked different than once I got into it,
Yeah, and I think that's the same thing with youth culture though, is I don't think there's, I don't generally like to be like, and I used to be, but the older I get, weirdly, like and seeing my own generation just be like, these damn kids, they're stupid, they're idiots. I'm just like, I recoil against that concept. I'm like, no, there's about an equal amount of idiot kids as there was when we were kids.
Yeah.
And
in general, you're a bit of a contrarian.
I am.
When you're a kid, you're like, kids are stupid, and you're an old man, and you're like, them kids, they really got something in that gleam in their eye.
Yeah, no. I think there's plenty of stupid kids. I just think, I've talked to and met through the show and through work, and like I know a lot of younger people who were just like, these are the people I would have hung out with. Yeah, they're not necessarily some stupid whatever that people believe that all kids are these days.
Yeah, no, for sure. There's definitely not it's just every generation has, different kinds of people in it.
And quite frankly, I just think, it's sort of like how everyone says the Saturday Night Live has never been good since they were a kid. I'm like, yeah, that's what your parents thought too.
Yeah.
Like
everybody thinks it's the best when they're 13, and then everything after that is awful.
And it's just not true. Saturday Night Live has always been about a third of the way good. Because they're doing live comedy sketches.
That they produce once a week. Like it's pretty it's a tough life. And then you get some good stuff, and you just I think at that age you just remember the really good sketches, and you joke around with your friends about them, and they become the thing. Anyway, I guess we should probably stop podcasting. Probably. We have talked about Star Trek in about 20 minutes.
I'm good.
But
whatever.
Anyway, I really appreciate you guys checking out the Star Trek Universe podcast. I haven't pumped about the season of Discovery. It's been pretty great so far.
I feel really bad because I've totally forgot to talk about some fan feedback, some listener feedback.
Well, let's do it now.
Okay. Let's just do it real quick. It's all from Stu Little.
Hey, Stu.
Hey, Stu. What's up, man? Did the We're the Descendants of the Original Crew cover story give anyone else any ideas about potential legacy casting in this time period of Star Trek? Give me Jack Wade guest starring as Brad Boimler the 14th badass bounty hunter. As fun as that idea sounds, Stu, I very much feel like that would make the universe feel so much smaller.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind there being an occasional crossover. I don't want every episode to be that, but I'm down with some of that. Like, I really wouldn't have minded if Dax had been in this episode.
I don't think I didn't want it. I don't think I would have wanted it.
I hear you. I would have been fine if Dax had been the Silver Fox. Like if at the very end we find out that was Dax who was protecting the ideals, or like return there and had been protecting and had a more open mind than the others and was willing to fight for the right thing because she used to be Federation.
Absolutely, that would have been. Damn it, you sold me on it a little bit. I think.
Yeah, see there,
Stu. He also asked, or he says, Book isn't the new Mal Reynolds, because we said Book was like Mal Reynolds of Star Trek. He says, Book is not the new Mal Reynolds. He's the outrageous Okona done well. Do you remember the outrageous Okona?
No.
He's from the TNG episode, The Outrageous Okona.
I do not remember that being the name of an episode. That's great.
He was just a douchebag with a beard. I think it was like season 2, maybe?
It was like
go back and
their attempt at mud or something?
Okay, yeah, that's a great point. But he was. Here's my hierarchy. This is what I think the hierarchy is. I would say you have Book is Mal Reynolds in a Star Trek series. Malcolm Reynolds is Han Solo done well. The outrageous Okona is Okona. I can't say it now. The outrageous Okona is Han Solo done poorly, and Han Solo is the chaotic good version of Harry Mudd.
All right. That is.
I think that's the hierarchy.
I would like to just say
vagabonds.
They're just sci-fi. They're all just sci-fi vagabonds, and that's all you got to know. There are some similarities between all of them, but there are many. But Malcolm Reynolds is mine.
Oh man, that shit's complex.
Yeah, I like your very strange rubric. I think I need a diagram. Actually, I would love that shirt. We should make that shirt. It could be a Star Trek Universe podcast shirt that's just like Harry Mudd, or like Harry Mudd leads to Han Solo, leads to, I don't know, that leads to Malcolm Reynolds, leads to whatever. It leads to Okona, I guess, then leads to Malcolm Reynolds, then leads to this guy, Book.
Sure. And finally, Stu Little says, he sends a picture of frickin' Boothby and says, you know who should have popped out from behind that tree at the end with no explanation? Because he was always timeless. He was always supposed to be like, he's the groundskeeper at the at Starfleet Academy, and every Starfleet officer had dealt with him. They're like, God, how old was he? I don't know. He was ancient when I was there. Wait, you guys know Boothby? Yeah, he was ancient when I was there. Like, you're 40 years older than us, Captain. Yes. Old Boothby. Yeah, well, that actor's passed away. But, yeah, I would have loved to have seen someone do a makeup job or something and have him pop up again.
Or just
that
be
would
like
be really funny.
Great-great-grandson of Boothby. Like, someone wearing that outfit or whatever, you know? Like that little Boothby... whatever.
Well, he was the groundskeeper,
Overalls.
so
yeah,
he was the groundskeeper. So if they had just pulled out when they were pulling out and showing them all like underneath that tree, if they had just shown someone in Boothby costume, but it was blurry and you couldn't tell that it wasn't like actually him,
yeah,
and like they never actually say, "Hey, this is Boothby," like so that like in Star Trek fans' minds we could just be like, "Holy shit, Boothby's still there 1,000 years later. That's fantastic." Like, what kind of alien is he, man? Oh, my God. Like, I don't want an explanation. I want no explanation about Boothby. I don't want to know why he's an alien or if he's an alien or how old he is. I don't want it to be like, well, I'm technically like his grandson, or I don't want it to be like a whole family of people who just look like the same dude.
Just a little image there. Just a little image as it pulls away sounds perfect.
I just want one of the great mysteries of the Star Trek universe to be this, like, this little magic groundskeeper man.
Oh, man. All right. Well, I think that's about it for us tonight. Well, guys, thanks for hanging out with us. We're the Stranded Panda podcast of Star Trek universe podcast thing.
What is happening?
Hey, if you like this Star Trek thing, you might like Star Wars too. We made fun of it earlier. No, we actually didn't. We talked about it seriously. But if you like Star Wars, the Star Wars Universe podcast just started back up with their first new episodes in a while. They're doing Mandalorian, and they're doing an episode by episode review. So if you guys get a chance, check them out. I'm going to try to hop on a couple of them, I think, once I catch up on Mandalorian, because it's not on my priority list. I got to finish Hellstrom so we can cover that this week.
Wow. I never watched Mandalorian.
I
was told it was boring.
I found the first episode very boring, and then I got online and everyone loved it. And I just realized that, like, if you love Star Wars, it's like catnip. But if you really don't care about Star Wars, like if you're just looking for a good sci-fi story, the first episode's pretty boring. Although if you go in to watch it, think of it as a Western.
Well, see, that's what I saw in the trailer. I went, oh, shit, that's like a Western in the Star Wars universe. That looks really cool.
It very much is, but it's very much like old school spaghetti Western where it's like really slow paced. The first episode particularly. And like it's very little characterization for the main character. Like he doesn't take his helmet off, you know, like you never see him without the helmet on. So like it's really hard I found it very hard to connect with him. Other people obviously did not, and I've seen some video essays on what people think about his character and like where they get their views of his character, and like, you know, clearly you get to know
because
him.
You can imagine whatever the hell you want, really.
Well, that's part of it, but it's also do you know anything about the story?
I don't know a ton about the story. I know he's taking care of the package, and then it turns out to be the Yoda child looking thing.
Yeah. So spoiler alert. That's the thing is he's the hardened. It's the classic Western trope of he's the hardened gunslinger who comes upon an innocent child, and then he can't deliver the package and decides to run with the baby Yoda.
And I'm fine with that. That doesn't bother me at all.
It's super good. Like it's a good little tale. The first episode to me felt like Star Wars wank. Like it was like, look, it's this and look, it's that. It's the thing, you know, from Star Wars, you know, and including the ending when he opens the package and it's a Yoda. Like you're like, right. To me, it just felt like, oh, this is all Star Wars. If you like Star Wars a whole lot, you're going to love this. And if you don't care, there's not much there.
Yeah.
But as the series developed, I do think that it got to a much better place and more interesting. And there's some really great parts in it. Some like really, really great parts in it. And I'm actually really excited for season 2, but I haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah, I'd like to get caught up on all the Star Wars. Like at least all the live action stuff, including The Mandalorian. I'm trying like hell to get through Netflix's Marvel stuff, and
oh yeah,
I've finished Luke Cage, and I've watched season 2 of Jessica Jones, and I'm in the middle of season 2 of Iron Fist. And,
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
but
it's not as bad as season 1.
I agree completely. How far are you in?
3 or 4 episodes. They just had the big dinner with Danny and Colleen. Just had the dinner with Joy and Guy.
Yeah.
Davros, whatever his name.
Davros.
Yeah. Davros. Exterminate.
Davros is different. That's the thing. Even in that season with Davos being like, whatever he's doing, like he's like obviously kind of coming after Danny for I don't know, he's mad about him taking the fist and everything. Every time I just hear Davos, like, and he's supposed to be a bad guy, I guess, but I just think he's like right.
Yeah, no, so far I'm like, I mean, you're going about it in a shitty way, but you kind of got a point, bro.
Yeah, he has a real point. And like, that's the problem. Both of Scott Buck's shows. Scott Buck has 2 shows that failed miserably. I don't know if you know this. Scott Buck, the showrunner of that, also showran The Inhumans.
Oh, why would they even give him another job?
It was super close together. Like, so he did one and then did the next immediately after, before the other one had even run.
Oh, jeez.
And it was just like, oh, he's bad. We should not have done that. And I hate to blame it on one guy, but it's like the problem is very clear with both shows, season 1 of Iron Fist and Inhumans, and that problem is he never gives us a reason to care about the main characters. Like I don't know if you saw Inhumans, but it's not worth watching. So I never did. Yeah, I'm going to spoil it. I mean, I'm not spoiling anything big, but basically the plot is the royal family of the Inhumans, and there's like a guy who wants to stand up to them and be like, and take over Atala or whatever. Mm-hmm. And like, and he's the guy's just right. They've been shitty leaders, and they've like let half their people get enslaved, and like they have personally enslaved their people basically. And like a guy from the lower, anyone who doesn't have a good power, like a good inhuman power, gets put in the mines to work. And it's like this guy like rises from the mines to take them down or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, he's right. He's the good guy of the story. Like, right. He's kind of a jackass, and the actor plays a good villain, but like he's just right. Like and they never give me a reason to care about the Inhumans. And they do the same thing with Danny Rand. Like Danny Rand's just the only reason he's the protagonist of that show is that he's the protagonist of that show. There's never a reason for me to care that Danny Rand, I never get a sense that Danny Rand is trying to do the right thing, really. Well, maybe trying, but never actually does. Mm-hmm. At least for the first season. Second season is a little better. And
I'll pull it back to Star Trek. Like, you talking about that made me think of like, man, that's one of my primary issues with Star Trek Nemesis is like, up until the point where he's just like, we must kill everything in the Federation, and Picard is a mirror for me, and all that bullshit. Like, nah, man, Shinzon had a point, man. Yeah, like, he was right.
Yeah, I would have rather like they had structured that movie differently so that the Federation decides to like say Shinzon starts a civil war, right? And for the purposes of their treaties and all this stuff, Shinzon is trying to get the Federation. Like, what? Yeah, this is a much better movie. Here's Nemesis for you. Shinzon rises to power and starts a civil war where the Remans and Romulans are going at each other. Mm-hmm. And he reaches out to Picard for help. Yeah. And because of their treaties and fear of starting a war with the Romulus, they don't help the Remans. And then he's like, oh, well, my people are just more oppressors. You're just part of the same system. I'm taking you all down. And that's an interesting character. Like the one that never really does. He takes the turn to do something horrible, but like he never really is wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I would much rather it be something like that than just like loose philosophical bullshit about like, I'm your clone. We are the same. Like, no, dude, let's actually see like what Picard would do like on the opposite end of this thing, like as an oppressed human in the Riemann mines. Like that would have been dope. Like, yeah. Instead of just turning it into I'm getting crazy, I'm dying now. Whoa.
Yeah, I agree completely. I just much more prefer like a realistic enemy like that. All right, well we've yammered on. We have bloviated. What's the word I'm looking for? Bloviated about many things that are not related to this episode of Star Trek. But
I mean, it's all Western narrative.
Welcome, folks, to the Western Narrative Podcast, where we talk about whatever Western narrative we feel like.
Yeah, except for when you start bringing up spaghetti westerns, and I'm pretty sure they won that lawsuit. That was based on whatever that movie was. I can't remember now. Like, freaking Sergio Leone ripped off an Eastern narrative for a Fistful of Dollars.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, no. I mean, it was it was proven.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna get out of here. Love you very much. Have a good night. Jolan True.
Cake is eternal. Stick it with that one.
Thank you for listening to the Star Trek Universe Podcast, a Stranded Panda production. If you'd like to hear more from David C. Robertson, check out the DC On Screen podcast or maladjusted.tv for his web videos. If you'd like to hear more from Matthew Carroll, check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast or listen to his music. Just search for Matthew Carroll anywhere you get music.